What up? We are back at DEI Alliance Spotlight. Excited for our special guest today. Um, yeah, I'm getting the pleasure to know her just now we started. So I'll let her introduce herself and talk a little bit about her journey and how she got to where she is as the head coach at Kilgore College.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you taking the time to invite me. Well, let me begin with this. My name is Addie. I'm the head women's basketball coach at Kilgore College in Kilgore, Texas. And a little about my journey. I'm from Plainview, Texas, where there are tumbleweeds and tractors, wide open spaces. And I played basketball from a young age. I was introduced to it. I saw it on TV and didn't have a TV at that time. And I just fell in love with the game. And I played at Plainview High School and won 2 state championships and a state runner-up for Coach Danny Wren. And after that, I graduated and went on to play at Midland College for Ron Jones and played there for 2 years. And then I transferred to the University of Arkansas Monticello and played for Chris Ratcliffe. And then graduated in 2009 and then jumped right into my coaching career. And I've been at all levels, thankfully. And I'm appreciative of all of my experiences, all the way from a GA to an associate head to a head coach to recruiting coordinator, because it's really prepared me for this position that I'm in now.
Yeah, talk a little bit about the journey, coach, to how you get to be a head coach. So many people want to be in that position. How did you navigate getting to that position? And then how have you adjusted now that you're in that position? And it sounds like this year is going really well and you're in top 25, I think 9-2 on the season. So talk a little bit about that part of the journey, if you don't mind.
Okay. Yes. Well, I'm going to jump right in with this. A lot of the thoughts and ideas I had going into coaching were just wrong. As a Latina in the business, there aren't many of us. We have to kind of create our own path, and we have to make sure we are under the right mentors. We have to be a little bit more calculated with our decisions as far as advancing in this profession. And I learned that quickly. But I was prepared for a lot of my journey and to be in this seat because of my upbringing. And I was raised by a single parent that showed me what love was. We were very, very poor, but we always found a way. And so I know the work ethic and the resiliency is in my veins because of the indigenous roots that are in our blood. But the journey is really not in the coaching. The journey was in what I observed growing up from my mom. And, you know, everyone has that ultimate mentor coach that they were under. I do. I have a couple of wonderful mentors, but what really prepared me was my mom. And she was the ultimate mentor, being that every day she got up and showed me how it was supposed to be done and sacrificed so much. And this prepared me for the coaching realm. Nothing's ever been handed to me. And working my way up the ladder, it's taken some time, but I wouldn't trade it for the world, because in that are valuable lessons. I have developed lifelong relationships with numerous people all over the world, and that's irreplaceable to me. And you know, for those that are wanting to be in this seat, it's that, I guess the one thing that needs to be understood is there's no right way to do it. Everyone has their own path, but it's up to us to create it, and it's up for us to create our own waves. And in order to do that, you've got to have a backbone. You've got to have a firm foundation. You've got to know your true north. You've got to know what you stand for at the end of the day. And you've got to be willing to sacrifice and sacrifice. And then when you get in the head coaching seat, you've still got to be able to sacrifice. And I think a lot of this journey is a testimony in itself. And I don't want to jump into that, but I feel that a lot of coaches, younger coaches, are discouraged because they don't see, you know, the results right away. And I would encourage anyone that is wanting to advance in this profession, whether you are a Latino, Latina, indigenous, or whatever, wherever you come from, or your ethnicity or race, I would encourage everyone to keep pressing forward. And that's really what's gotten me through this. It's a thing called grit, but I've had that since I was a young girl. And that's something I can, you know, thank my mother for, and she is still around, thankfully. And I'm just appreciative of that. But I wanted to voice that, because the advice that a lot of coaches are given, it's pretty generic. But if we get down to to the point. The point is that it's not going to be easy, but we've got to create our own path.
Very well said. Coach, you talked about being a Latina. Will you talk about the organization that you're a part of, Latina Coaches Association? Talk about that. How has that been for you? What has that been like to be able to connect to other coaches that have a similar background to yourself?
Well, I was able to connect with a lot of coaches on the road for many, many years, and in helping numerous people, trying to mentor and catapult them into their careers. And then, a couple of people reached out to me for the Latino Coaches Association. And I was super excited because that's just more opportunities to network, and it's more opportunities for outreach. And I remember talking to Eric, I remember talking to Jason, and just being able to connect with several people. And then those people in turn connected me with more. And it's just kind of exploded from there. And I'm appreciative of that because we're all trying, to accomplish the same things. And when there's more of us involved, we're just we're much better as a unit. And I can appreciate, this association for connecting me with these people, because now I've developed lifelong relationships with them as well.
Yeah, so I didn't say this before we started, but my wife is she is a minority female as well. She's mixed with Costa Rican and white, so she's been a head coach at Midwestern State and then also at Newman in Kansas. So I hear a lot of it from her and her plight, and I've known her for a long time. But what has it been like for you as a minority female to rise in this profession and get to be a head coach? And what are some of the successes / obstacles / advice you'd have in that space? I know you've kind of talked about it some, but I think it's important for people to hear so that you may provide hope for the next person.
Well, I think, from a young age, I think my perspective has changed just a little bit. But some of the obstacles and successes I'll jump into in just a second. But as far as is just as hard, but type of insight. Ask me questions, ask me what I do, and in turn, I'll ask the same, because at the end of the day, we're all trying to grow.
Well said. Well said. So we talk about this some here with the diversity, equity, inclusion. You talked about it some as well, but just what comes to mind when you think about coming out of this pandemic? So many things got more attention than normal. So I think a lot of the minority groups that we're aligned with Rising Coaches came out of this time period. More thoughts about equality, more thoughts about inclusion, more thoughts about equity, more thoughts about social justice. So let's just talk women in general in sports. How do you feel like it stands at this point in time in 2021 going into 22? What are you excited about, and what do you wish there was more of, or what do you kind of think about just in general? I know WNBA has been very outspoken and adamant about some things, as have college basketball, kind of giving women more of a voice. I know obviously the soccer team and some of the things that have gone there with pay equity. Obviously, Dawn Staley just getting a huge contract was a big deal. Talk a little bit about anything in general that you kind of are excited about or that you hope to see more of from that standpoint.
Well, I think now that we're in 2021, the perspective has been redirected in a positive way. And at the end of the day, I just feel that if more people would listen as opposed to, have a predisposition, then I think, there would be a lot more changes in a positive way. And I think positions of leadership, we've got to do a better job of the whole picture. And it's not about the color, it's about who can get the job done, but it's also about who's in the decision-making processes. So, if you've got a committee and you're trying to hire ADs, well, if it's only males hiring, well, then the chances of it being a female hire is not very likely. But I think overall, what I would like to see more of are educational sessions and opportunities for women to speak, for women of color to speak. And it's not to speak. We're not demanding anything. We're just asking for an opportunity to voice. And you mentioned the WNBA, which I think does a wonderful job of being vocal. But I think there are other avenues that could be used. I know sometimes we are fighting for some big games to be on TV. Why are we in 2021 still fighting for the top teams in the country to be televised. I don't understand that, but I think we've got a lot of people that are laying that foundation that are not going to be quiet about that. Other things I would like to see, more representation across the board. Yes, we are, at the end of the day, are going to fight for that every day. But if we don't implement change, and if we don't make that the foundation and make that the norm, then we won't see a lot of positive changes, especially going into 2022.
Yeah, awesome. Well said again, Coach. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about KC. You're the
Okay.
head coach there. What would you want people to know about the program and about what it is that you're building there and have built and are continuing to build upon, and just anything you'd like to share about that, and then we'll talk some fun things about.
Okay. Well, what I would want people to know is that I've got a wonderful, wonderful group of women, and we are daily learning valuable life lessons. And I encourage our community, regardless of where they reside, to watch a game, to reach out to us. We do a lot of community service, so we try to connect. But I think the most important thing is getting to know these young women. I've got future lawyers, doctors. I've got one in the military currently on my roster. These are just beautiful, beautiful people. And this is one thing that I try to bridge the gap on, because I think a lot of the perceptions of athletes are still out there and misconceptions of athletes. And I think that's important. In order to, form that foundation, you've got to know who you're dealing with and what these young ladies bring to the table. And outside of that, we practice a great deal of discipline. We practice what we preach, and it's not just an every other day thing or when we're feeling good. That's typical JUCO mentality. If my shot is on, I'm going to be an All-American. That's not it. Every day we're waking up, we challenge the women to start out by making their bed. Try to develop some type of discipline and some type of order. We're very big on integrity, and we're very big on gratitude. And all of those things cannot happen overnight. This we know, but we try to put that into practice. We do a lot with empowerment and learning how to stand on your own 2 feet. And I know I should probably be talking about basketball, but I think it's deeper than that. And when the community comes out and when they meet our young women, they never turn back. And then they in turn develop those lifelong relationships. And that's something that I can appreciate because, again, I love my young women. And yes, it makes my job better at the end of the day. But we're very, very high in character. And that's the standard. And it becomes the ceiling. And that is what makes our program successful.
Awesome. Let's talk about you, Coach. So back when you played, okay, we're going to go back a little bit.
Okay.
What was your favorite shoes that you like to wear to play in your best games? And then what about now? What's your best shoe game when you're coaching?
Okay. I'm going to say that's tough. When I played, I'm not sure I had a favorite. I didn't put a lot of emphasis on the materialistic items, being that we didn't have a lot of money. So I probably don't have a favorite. I was just thankful to have a pair of shoes on my feet. But it didn't change my game by any means, because my job was to deliver. And I know I did that, especially in high school. As far as my shoe game in coaching, I'm probably going to have to go with one of my favorite pair of Vince Camuto, probably. I'm a heel person. I do wear flats sometimes, but I'd have to say those are probably my favorite.
And then what about your top 5? What would be your top 5, you would say, player-wise, female or male, top 5 all time?
Oh, my goodness. Okay, top 5 players, male or female. Okay. I'm going to go with Kim Williams. She played at DePaul for Doug Bruno from Chicago. I'm going to go with Diana Taurasi. Have to
have that one.
I'm going to go with probably Sylvia Fowles, Sue Bird, and Becky Hammond.
Nice. Tell us, I love that you went all female. Tell me, is there a specific reason why you wanted to, or you just like, that's what I'm rolling with?
Well, when it comes to favorites, I don't put the males in that category. I mean, if you say specifically go NBA, I would tell you some too.
No
Mostly
doubt.
point guards.
All right, give me two NBA. But I love that you went women's basketball for that. Give me two NBA, and then we'll switch to the next question.
Okay, I'll go with Steve Nash, and if we're going guard, Gary Payton. If we're going other positions, I'm going Shawn Kemp.
Nice. So Seattle Sonics. So you were rooting for that team hard against Jordan.
I was. Just the power that they brought and the defense that Gary Payton and his control. My goodness, that was something to watch. And then Steve Nash, obviously, watching and trying to mimic his game really helped me develop as a point guard.
Which leads into my next question of scouting report of yourself back in the day. What's the scouting report on what teams were trying to do to stop you? What was the strengths?
Okay. Strengths, push tempo, ran the top on the press on defense, distributor. I played with several All-Americans that played some big-time basketball. On a scout, I'd say, I don't really know. I'd have to think about that. Probably double team, hedge, or trap. Kind of to ruffle my feathers, make me handle the ball, make it challenging for me.
Yeah.
I don't think it worked very well sometimes, but I would say that's probably what people put on the scouting report. And then senior year, probably make her take some shots. As a distributor and playing with such great players, my senior year, we lost a lot of players, but my job was still to distribute and be that point guard, for high school. In college, I think it was just about the same. But I developed more into a shooter, and I learned a lot from Jeff Linder as well. In some of those morning workouts, practicing with 6'11" players and pros, and here I am, barely 5'7", barely. I thought I could jump until I worked out with them, but I think that would probably sum it up.
Well said. What about if you're entering the ring as a boxer, or if you're going as a hitter in baseball and they have the intro music? What is your intro music? And then after that, so you got to pick one song, and then what's your top 5 music artists or groups that you just love in general?
Okay, I'm going with, and it doesn't have to be the whole song, and I don't even know who sings it, but The Champ Is Here. You can just put that on loop and you can replay that. As far as artists, I would say, oh my goodness, this is a tough one. So I listen to a lot of Spanish music. I'm going to have to go with Mark Anthony because the music is a whole vibe. And Selena Quintanilla, not Gomez, not the one from Disney. Probably really any music outside of that's Spanish. And then probably some gospel somewhere in there.
I like it. Nice choices. What's the why to what makes you want to coach? And then what do you hope to aspire as you continue to go in this profession? And when it's all said and done, what do you want to look back and say your legacy was and you've accomplished these things?
Mm-hmm. The why, the influence that we leave behind, that's my why. I know my purpose. I've known my purpose for some time, and growing into that has made me a better person. And there are a lot of different things I feel that I would, be capable of doing. But coaching is more than just a calling. And I believe that the power of influence is in the daily walk. And that is my why. As far as what I aspire to do and be, I want to be a better vessel. I want to be the ripple in the water that helps people create their own waves. And as far as a legacy, if I could be remembered for anything, I just want to be known for leading with grace. And I think that sums it up.
All right, last one. Always a favorite of mine to ask.
Okay.
One funny story before we go, either of your playing career, coaching career, or it can just be something that's just funny in general that's shareable, of course.
Okay. Funny story.
The guys always have a hard time trying to censor it for the recording. So anything funny that you have for
don't even know about funny. If you met my team now, you'd probably just be laughing. I don't know. I mean, I've had, I think a lot of the funny stories come from a lot of our freshmen coming in. They do freshman things, forget things. I've had a couple of freshmen on some games put their jersey on backwards, and it just makes me shake my head. That's really funny. It's not funny before a game because I'm really heated in the moment, and I'm like, what are you doing? What is life right now? But I don't know. I don't think I could really just say that there's one funny moment. I think every week it's something going on, but they keep me on my toes. They keep it light. It's like we don't even need icebreakers because it's just in their personalities. But I really probably couldn't narrow it down other than that. But I do have a lot of freshmen that are growing into adults now, and it's just like something every day. It is something.
I'd say putting jerseys on backwards is pretty good.
Yeah, it is, and it's comical. And then I'm thinking, what I mean. You have a mirror in front of you. Did not read it. Like
I was saying, what's your reaction? The funny part is probably your reaction to the backwards jersey. What do you actually react and say?
Well, I say to myself, don't say what you want to say. The game is most important. Go win a game, and then afterwards, you can address the problem and the issue, and we can get a reminder. We have accountability partners too. So I've assigned some people. Make sure your teammate has their jersey on correctly, please, and thank you, and God bless you.
Things that you wouldn't think you'd have to coach.
Right?
Well, Coach, thanks for joining today. You're making junior college basketball look good. We appreciate the fact that there's a woman in power leading the charge in a top 25 program and a minority female at that. We salute that because we know that's not easy. Again, I know that in my own home from hearing the stories from my wife. And we'll just let you leave with anything you'd want to say before you go. And then we thank you again.
Well, thank you for having me. I'll end with saying that there's an opportunity for Latinos out there, and yes, sometimes we have to search long and hard for them. But I would bet on us. I know we embody great values, so I would encourage people to bet on us for simple fact of we serve, we contribute, we influence, we empower, and above all else, we're really resilient. So good luck to those of you out there that are in this profession and looking to advance. And if I can help anyone with anything, please reach out to me.
Yeah, well, thanks so much again, Coach. And this will air on Rising Coaches for those that are watching, and it'll also be on YouTube. And we'll get the podcast out as well. And I'm sure they will find your handle on there, and they'll be able to reach out to you directly if they have any questions. So thanks so much, and good luck the rest